Okay, so afternoon, Francis. It's an absolute pleasure to have you as one of my first guests on Life Hacks with Mac.
So, I like it. It's a good name.
Thank you very much indeed. The whole idea of Life Hacks actually came off the back of a conversation I had with yourself and somebody else, where COVID-19 has really become a forced topic of conversation. But at the same time, there was this realization that there are so many people sitting in a bit of a deer in the headlamps situation, where most of them are wondering what next, what now. And because everybody's kind of trying to find ways to survive, trying to find ways to go online, and everybody's scuttering all over the place, there's a lot of things that people haven't thought about that are potential obstacles or potential massive pitfalls and problems that people haven't even thought about. So I really wanted to take the opportunity to be able to share with people those things that they really need to be thinking about to protect themselves, both from a personal level, but also from a business perspective when it comes to being online and in everyday kind of daily life with regards to coping mechanisms and various other things. So I'm going to be having various different topics, including yourself with cybersecurity and dealing with anxiety and loads of other exciting speakers on here. But the conversation that you and I had originally, where we were just trying to wrap our head around the concept of the fact that the world wasn't made for everybody to be at home simultaneously. No. And now we're sitting in a situation where a lot of people who may have worked from home for a day or 2 days, on the odd occasion before, maybe when another family member is not there or when the kids aren't there and the kids are at school, now all of a sudden everybody's at home all at the same time, using the same bandwidth, and we're all plugging into the same system as such. And after about 5 minutes of speaking to you, I was sitting there thinking, all these things that we haven't thought about. So
you and a few other people as well.
Absolutely. So for those people that are watching live now, if you want a little bit more of a background on Francis, please go into the description on Facebook Live and you can read about Francis. But Francis, I wanted you just to kind of give us a bit of an introduction, overview. I know you were involved in some crazy, very high level security stuff. But we're going to try and keep it English, keep it in English.
Yeah. No, 100%. Okay. But listen, first of all, seriously, Mac, I'm just very grateful for you inviting me to come on to your panel, your show today, because, I say to everybody when I meet them, the first thing you need to do is educate. And the second thing you need to do is to put extra layers in to protect yourself. And that's why I'm grateful to be here today. And to give you a bit of a history, so, fellow South African, been in here for 30 years and been helping small to medium-sized businesses on the IT side for the last 30 odd years. But in the last 3 years, I've seen this, what I can only describe as a tsunami of attacks and scams that's been hitting small businesses, and now especially home people working from home. And that's why I thought today is a great opportunity for us just to educate people. You're speaking about a panels. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I'm sitting on a panel with the WCIT, the Worshipful Company of Information Technologists, and with some other very senior people only a week before this, the lockdown. And one of the things they said there is that, the NCSC, the National Cybersecurity Center, they've got the most amazing information constantly feeding it through, about the latest scams that's going on. But unfortunately, I think everybody is just in such a different place, because when they were working at home, at the office, they still had layers of protection around them. And now all of a sudden they're sitting at home and the kids are kicking off and the partner's moaning about something, and they're sitting there and they're connecting to the same network as everybody else. And then they wonder why they're getting hacked. And it's frightening, because people are, if I tell you a stat that I read only yesterday, in the last 3 weeks since with the lockdown in the UK, we have seen a 650% and 60% increase in scams. 660%.
Wow.
I've never, ever seen anything like it. And
That
that's
is
why
massive.
it's mental. And you know, and
I see why you use the word tsunami.
it is a tsunami, but now it's like a tsunami times 10. Because before, you know, you see one every couple of days. Now I see them every few hours. And of course, the hackers know this. They are having the best time of their lives, sadly, because so many people, they know that people are just in a different place. Even, I mean, you won't believe this. Some stuff I've seen now, especially on the COVID-19, I've seen so many ones coming through. And there's almost daily on BBC News, where even where it's sad, where people have, can I say it, the balls to go and knock on people's front doors and say, oh, we'll transfer your money somewhere securely. And people fall for this stuff, you know, and then I get emails or people phone me in tears. What can I do? Well, what they can do is hopefully listen to one of these sessions. And then what I beg you about today, please, is share this information with your mother, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your 5-year-old. Let them listen to this advice, because please, we need to try training everybody from a young age. It's not just Mac and my responsibility to keep people secure. It is all our responsibilities, and we have to work together to share information to keep people protected.
You know, just thinking out loud about some of the things that you just pointed out, and the level or the, you know, the balls people have, if I can use that word. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, but I'm going to anyway.
The kahunas.
The kahunas.
There you go.
That people have. You know, one of the recent ones that I saw was, and it really got my blood boiling, was an NHS one where there are currently organizations that are setting up supply chains online to supply necessities like face masks and hand sanitizers and creams and all the you know, visors, etc., where people are going and they're thinking they're doing an amazing thing by going to donate money and buy these goods and then have those goods shipped to you know, various hospitals and care homes, etc., only to find out that these, what look like genuine suppliers online, are total hoaxes, and the money is gone within, you know, by the time they've paid it. But they look so genuine and are using massive platforms that we use on a daily basis. So, you know, what kind of things can people do to, you know, what are the signposts to kind of look out for? Because they've got so smart over the last few years.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the guys I work very closely with is called Sean O'Neill, and he heads up the cyber team for Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire. And he's sending me daily latest publications from the NCSC with the latest scams. And you know, I do daily posts on LinkedIn, and I normally only put one a day. But the first thing people can do is not rely on Microsoft 365 or on Gmail or anybody else to clean up your emails before it gets to your inbox. You need to use an external, what I call external email security provider, to clean your email and at least take out 98% before it gets to the inbox. That's number one. And it's worth every penny to invest in that technology. Secondly, is again, you know, we have our own, if you look at, we've made 150 videos just on sharing, you've got an awesome YouTube channel, but our YouTube channel is called Westtek Solutions, and one of the videos I made is 7, maybe I should share the link with you, you know, after this, but 7 ways to spot a dodgy email. And normally there are a few key signs. And the first thing I always tell people is just hover the mouse over the sender's address.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you hover over, and it's different to the ones you're reading, you know straight away. You know, look for spelling errors. Look for, if it's too good to be true, press the delete button. Always, even on, and the same goes for phones. Seriously. The same goes for WhatsApp messages. If you see something that looks wrong, delete it, please. Just delete it. Because here's the other thing a lot of people do. You can't make this up, Mac. Is when they see, especially WhatsApp or text messages, they forward it to all their mates. Now, the hackers know this, and they embed what we call a payload or attack files inside the message. So every time you forward that to your mate and he forwards it to his mate and you are trying to help each other, the same with emails, you are infecting your friends. So what you need to do, if you really want to be helpful, which is great, take a photo of the message and rather distribute the photo to everybody. Much easier. And with the photo, you're not going to infect people.
So basically take a screenshot and forward that on.
Yeah. That's it. Simples.
Okay. And in the current, I mean, the current climate, I think everybody's on 3, 4, maybe 10 plus WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
And everybody has the best intention.
Now,
but what you were saying now, just how many people have forwarded it on?
Oh, millions. Now, let me just, whilst we're on the WhatsApp talk, because again, I did a session.
So people, just a quick question.
Yeah.
WhatsApp or Facebook, who own WhatsApp, they don't actually put any form of security in for the end user.
No, they do. The problem with the users, this is my favorite saying, Mac. Have you heard of picnic?
No.
Problem in chair, not in computer. Okay? Because the thing is, if you get a car, is it your duty to drive the car properly? Yes, it is. If you buy a house, is it your duty to secure and lock the house every night? Yes, it is. When you get an app, it's your duty to go and secure it. And the best way to secure it is to use what we call multi-factor authentication. Now, I don't know how deep you want me to go on it, but it's so important because multi-factor authentication, there's an app called Authenticator by Microsoft. You download it, you install it, you click on the plus sign, and then you go into your Facebook, go into security settings, and where it says turn on MFA or 2FA, it then generates a QR code. You then scan your phone to the QR code, and from that second onwards, your app is then locked down with the third layer of security. So the first 3 layers, if we can call it that, or 2 layers, is your username, your password, and then your multi-factor authentication code. Now, this code only lasts for 30 seconds. So unless a hacker is sitting next to me right now with a gun against my head, there's no way he's going to get my code. But until you set that up on your LinkedIn, on your WhatsApp, on your Twitter, on your Snapchat, on your everything that you can think of, you are saying to the hackers, please take all my information. Take it. It's okay. Take it.
So
that simple.
I'm just thinking out loud, especially for lots of business owners out there that have third parties having access to their information. And what I mean by that is things like Google Analytics, as an example. A lot of people have a third-party vendor who looks after their Google Analytics, and instead of following the process where you can actually add a user within Google Analytics, they'll just give them their login details. So username and password.
Let me tell you how to get around this. So it's very simple, because normally when you sign into those applications, you're going to like this, but did you know that every computer has a MAC code?
Yes, or MAC ID.
A MAC ID. It stands for Migration Access Code. It's unique for every single device on the planet. Now, when the very first time you log on to that Google Analytics, it's going to ask you for the authentication code, the multi-factor. So you phone up your customer, please give me the code. And then once you put the code in the first time, it will not ask you again. It is that simple. But if you change device, or if a hacker tries to get into the same analytics account, they won't be able to phone the customer and say, I'm a hacker here. Can you give me the code, please? So that's the way you easily secure a account from a second device or second PC or laptop or Mac.
Okay, so it's connected to that MAC address.
Yeah.
I've seen that where it says you've signed in from this device, so we're not concerned before. So is that's what that means?
Exactly.
Okay. So,
and that's the thing. If you think about this, this is what we're trying to achieve here, Mac, with all the stuff we're doing. When a thief drives down the road, he's going to break into the house that doesn't have a dog, doesn't have CCTV, doesn't have, especially your alarm systems that you install for people, that doesn't have a ring.com. They're going to go to the house that's got nothing. So, sorry, neighbor, but I'm going to make sure that my machine at home, my work laptop is properly secure so that you can rather hack into my neighbor's machine. That's what we're trying to achieve here.
So let's tackle that one, because you and I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and there was loads of little simple things, including some of the posts that you've recently shared on LinkedIn,
Sure.
that kind of got me thinking, sitting there going, oh yes, okay, maybe I've missed a few things here, and I'm pretty security conscious at an extreme level sometimes. But even myself, who knows about some of these things, is still vulnerable. And I'm seeing people that, for the first time, lots of school teachers, various business owners that are in things like insurances and very kind of pen and paper type business, where they go face to face, have meetings with people, and they're now having to go onto the likes of Zoom and various other bits of tech at home, and that's quite a daunting thing. Never mind the technical dangers within that process. So just getting your laptop secure at home. So I've spoken to a lot of people that are in fairly sensitive industries, things like psychologists, psychiatrists, school teachers, therapists, various people from in positions where the data that they have, it's so important that they protect that, and they don't give that access just kind of plug and play and open up to the world. And some of the conversations that they will have, because a lot of people are now doing business on Zoom, as an example. So let's just throw this one out there. I mean, I know Zoom recently put a couple of updates and said, hey, we've updated our security settings. But what are the things people need to think about when it comes to just getting online on their PC? And I think there's probably 100 things you can think of right now, but walk us through some of those things.
Don't turn it on. That's it. Simple. Oh, sorry.
Go back to bed.
I couldn't help myself there. Sorry. Okay. Let's analyze the data flow.
Yeah.
I'm known as a white hat hacker, right? So I do everything I do, especially when I do my sessions and workshops. I show people how, and if you wanted to, we could, if we had time, I'll show you how to hack into systems. Now, the problem that we have right now is that people sit there on the dining room table or the kitchen table, and then the next door you've got the 10-year-old or the 16-year-old, or even in my case the 20-year-old, and they are busy downloading good knows what, and they're doing it full time now because they're full time. Now their machine gets infected.
The bandwidth has gone from that to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So now their machine gets infected. Let's say there's a family of 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. Any one of those machines get infected. That infection will simply jump to all the devices. Now, what's worse, a lot worse, is there are so many people now using VPNs back to the main office. Unless they secure that VPN properly, and by properly we can dig into it, but I mean only allow, let's say use some bespoke application, only allow the traffic for that bespoke application through, then fine. Most people don't. They set up a VPN tunnel and you can access anything on the office network. Now think about this. So this machine now gets infected, and the infection jumps securely down the VPN tunnel into the entire office network, and then down every other VPN tunnel connected home worker, and infects the whole lot. And my question there is, how would the business owner feel to somebody working at home right now if all of a sudden every single machine in their organization suffers a ransom attack? And when people like us come around and we'll do forensic analysis and we track it back down to not only the mothers that works for the business owner, but to her daughter's machine. And I've got case studies to share with you, okay, sadly. How would that make the daughter feel, never mind the mother or the father or the business owner. You know, it's frightening. So how can we fix it is gonna be your next question. It's so simple. So, you know, again, we talk about multiple layers of security, and we'll come back to that maybe in a minute. But the big thing for me is you've got to self-isolate, note the pun, you've got to self-isolate your work machines from the rest of the network. And how do you do that? You simply set up a guest network at home, like you do in the office, and like when you go
which
to
you can do with Sky, Virgin, all of them.
And if you don't know how, just phone up BT or TalkTalk or Virgin,
whoever your service provider is,
and say there was this mad South African who's talking on this channel, and he said that we need to set up a guest network because otherwise our machines are going to infect it. And great, hopefully they'll put the phone down. But so what you then do is you take your laptop and your work phone and you connect it to the guest Wi-Fi, because when it's set up properly, there's no way that the data can jump from the normal Wi-Fi over the fence to the guest Wi-Fi. It is that simple. It's that simple. So now you've just isolated your home network to set up, we'll call it the work guest Wi-Fi, whatever, and you connect your critical components there. And at least that way, even if your daughter or your husband, anybody else gets infected, you know, that's their problem.
Some of those websites that people are spending far too much time on.
The people have a lot of time on their hands, you know. So for me, that is number one. Number two, which we've discussed already. Number two, definitely, please, even your kids, set up multi-factor authentication on every single thing you touch, because that way, that even if somebody can, and it takes one click, I promise you, one click. Somebody, you get an email or you get a Facebook request, you click on that link, and all of a sudden, I, the hacker, have installed a link, or what we call a keylogger, on your laptop, and from that second forward, we are recording every single keystroke that you're typing into your secure online system. Imagine this.
So let me ask a quick question, because as I said, I'll probably jump all over the place because lots of questions are jumping to mind. But say, for argument's sake, one of the big phenomenons within young people today, and I'm talking about kind of 20 and down, is this social media platform called TikTok.
Yeah.
And now I know that opens up a few things in itself, but say, for argument's sake, my daughter, who's 10 years old, goes on, and one of the things I found amongst children, school-age children, is a lot of them don't understand technology, but they're pretty savvy on working out how to get things working.
Yeah. And
I found out that a lot of 6 to kind of 12-year-olds have multiple TikTok accounts to make their friends look like they have more, but they're all setting up fake email addresses to have multiple accounts, but they don't realize what they're doing, because effectively they're registering their details to go to some random person out in space.
Yeah.
And they're not authenticating or checking that email address.
No.
So, what kind of threats does that open up?
How much time do you have, Mac? I'm joking.
Just high level.
No, here's the thing. I mean, it opens up identity fraud, which is the biggest concern for younger people. Abuse online or even physical. And these things can run with them forever. Forever. I mean, if you want to, also, if you're interested, I did a post a couple of months ago on LinkedIn, and I said, I will hack your data in less time than it takes you to make a coffee. And if you want to, I can share the video. And I showed the video, and this video is all about social media and what people are giving away. And I think it really gets the point across. So I don't know if you're up for it.
Yeah, I mean, share your screen. Let's have a look what you've got there.
Yeah, let's.
Oh, hi, can I help?
Can I have a hot chocolate?
What's the name?
Joelle.
What was the name?
Alex.
Alex. There you go, Johnny.
Cheers.
If you like our Facebook page, we give you a free hot drink and a free pastry.
We have a new like for Damien.
Hey, Carla, are you standing by?
Standing by. Hi there, can I help?
Yeah, I just liked your Facebook page.
Okay, I'll search Facebook
I'm
now.
searching Google.
Have a phone number.
I've got his email address.
Okay, Carly, are you ready for information on Damien?
Yep, I am.
Mother's maiden name is He banks with
Carly, this is the girl coming in now with the blue scarf.
What's her name? Nicholas.
Nicola. His date of birth, 7th May. She lives at 38A.
Just be a couple of seconds.
2 children, age 4 and 6. Previous address. She's got the postcode.
Yep, got it. Damien, age 26 and a fitness instructor.
How do you know that?
Brody, who goes to UCL. Martin, who went to South Thames College. Assistant psychologist at Great Ormond Street.
How did you know?
That is... I don't really understand.
Oh, pardon?
You know I'm a Christian as well.
Oh, yeah, we know everything about you, Martin. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Anna from Russia.
What do you think she did with that cup at the end?
Took that home.
No, she put it in the bin. She put it in the bin.
With all the personal information printed on there.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Hey? And then people wonder why they get hacked. And I'll tell you why people get hacked, because they give the hackers everything they possibly need.
So, hold on, you've just...
You should have seen your face, man. It's so funny. The other day I did a talk, right? I have to tell you the story. And the guy was sitting in the front. And when he saw that video, his jaw just kept on going like this. I promise you, his jaw just kept on dropping. And you know, I've got to keep a straight face, because I'd like to bring some humor into a very serious subject. And eventually I said, listen, I think you need to close your jaw. And,
Yeah.
So, but there's so much I can show you. Did I tell you before we started? I just had one of my colleagues send through a message. Do you know that Zoom? I know we're on Zoom now.
Yeah.
That 500,000 records have been now.
I sent that through to you last night.
Oh, you did, yeah. There you go. Thanks, credit to you. Now, what I'm offering people. If they want to, I can go on the dark. As part of our services, we monitor people's email addresses on the dark web. So I can go and I can run a report for you and tell you exactly which email addresses and which passwords are for sale as of this minute, and going back to many, many years. It's quite scary stuff, but it's true.
So just on that point, I mean, that's something I definitely want people to really think about. Is, you know, I have multiple domains, multiple business ventures that I've worked on, and you know, we live in a world where it's so easy to click T's and C's, tick the box, click and accept.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, there was a case study in the city a few years ago where there was a free Wi-Fi hotspot, and as part of the T's and C's, effectively what they did is they wrote into the T's and C's the law of transferring the rights to your firstborn.
Yeah.
And people didn't realize what they were signing, and they were effectively transferring the rights to their firstborn to, you know, this company, and nobody ever checked. And we live in this massive world of trust. Now, I know personally, because I've had, and a lot of people would have had interesting emails that say, hey, we've seen you do X, Y, Z, you know, here's your username, here's your password, you need to pay us in Bitcoin, and all kinds of interesting threats. But the reality is the companies that we trust are vulnerable themselves. So I know for a fact that Gmail has been, or Google themselves have been hacked, and my data was available on there, and only because of something like what you're mentioning now, where I'm running a regular search, I found it in time. But what that time was could have been, you know, even if it's a day, you just need 2 or 3 minutes, and or a few seconds, and your data and every bit of your email is downloaded and traced.
Max,
so
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many keys do you need to get into your car?
Just one.
How many keys do I need to get into your back door of your house?
Have you been to my house? Just one.
How many keys do I need to get into your office?
3.
That's good, because you're a security guy. Normal people is 1, okay? So my question to you is, how many keys does a hacker need to get into your entire life?
Probably just 1.
Just 1. Just 1. We spend our life trying to stop, and they just need to find a little hole, you know, like water running into a room. The tiniest hole, the water would come through, okay? So, and that's why, you know, I beg people to think twice every time they do anything, because they just need the 1. And like you said, the big thing about monitoring or dark web monitoring is that people are lazy, and I count myself in. You know, I automate everything I can. But here's the thing: once a hacker finds your email address, like now your Zoom account on the dark web, they're going to use that same account, and they're going to try your Netflix, they're going to try your Amazon, they're going to try your Uber, they're going to try your every account, even the ones that you've forgotten about, and they're going to do it very quickly, okay? And once they're in with one, they're going to, that's interesting. I mean, and here's the problem. People are lazy, so they're using the same email address and the same password for every single thing they do. And then they wonder why they get hacked.
Well, I was having a conversation with somebody literally 3-4 days ago, and we were talking about their access to Zoom as an example, and setting them up online, and I was talking them through the process and helping them. And they got stuck with the sign-in, and I was like, okay, all you have to do is put your credentials. Do you remember what you created? And went, yeah, the same as everything else.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was like, oh, and it's so common. Even in home security, there are only a handful of PIN numbers that people have. Yeah. And people never go and change their alarm security code, because, you know, I've encountered people that have had security systems for 25 years and the same PIN, and they phone me up and say, hey, my system's not working. I'm like, what's the problem? And they go, oh, you know, the PIN numbers. I'm like, have you changed your PIN number? And that's all they need to do, is change that on a regular basis. And firstly, the longevity of the control panel and the keypad, but also, you know, their security. I mean,
Now, Mac, would it be helpful if I show all the viewers right now how to set up the most complex password or most secure password on the planet?
Yes, please.
4 words. All right, let's do it. Because I think the more we can show people, the better. That's why, you know, these sessions are never long enough, because I can do hours and hours and hours. So you can see my screen, all right?
I can, yes.
So there's the first one I want people to have a look at is haveibeenpawned.com. I don't know if you've ever been on this site. So I'm going to type in one of my email addresses.
It's not what you think, for those people who have just gone onto this.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is a good site. Some people say, have I been pwned? Very posh, you know. So if I look at this email address, and I'm no angel, okay. This goes back years ago. This is a very old email address. So this has been compromised by 3 different sites. And like you said earlier, because I want to pick up on that point, it's so important. Many times it's not the person's fault who has the email address. It's the company that they sign into.
That's sold, yeah. So they've been hacked, and it's then been sold online.
And the big one I saw last year is MyFitnessPal. If any of the listeners right now have an account with MyFitnessPal and you haven't changed it since July last year, I feel for you. Another one is Canva. You know, Canvas, where people make editing. They've been hacked as well last year.
Yep.
So everybody, and here's the thing. What can you do? Simple. Go right now. When you finish the session, whether it's today or you're listening to a repeat, go and change your password and use a password manager. Now, let me show you this site. I love this site. And this is another one which I think is brilliant. It's how long will it take to crack my password? So, this is a great site. You're obviously not pressing enter, and people wouldn't know if a hacker even knew that you type in this in. They wouldn't know which password it was for, except if you use the password for everything. But let me show you how to create the most secure password. Now, watch this, Mac. Look around the room and read or just say out loud the first word of something. I want you to pick. We're going to pick, just to show you the process. You're going to pick 4 different words or 4 different objects that are not related. So give me the first word.
Phone.
Phone, right? So if you use phone as a password, and if you want to know how to hack things, very simple. Go to YouTube and say, how do I hack a password? And the step-by-step guide on how to download, we call it a password cracker. There's a piece of software you download and you point in the right direction and it goes millions of times till it cracks the password. Now, if you had one of those, you know, you could crack that password called phone instantly, like instantly. Okay, now let's move on to the second word.
Glasses.
Glasses. Now watch what happens now. I've typed in the second word. Just by adding a second word, we've now made the hacker's life a misery, because now it's going to sit 4 weeks. I think it's a bit overstated, but let's go run with it at the moment. It's going to sit the hacker 4 weeks to crack your password. Okay, let's add a third word.
Mirror.
Mirror. Now that's with 3 words.
Wow.
We've now taken it to 23 million years for a hacker to try and crack your password. Now let's use the fourth word.
Pen.
Pen.
It's a short word. But
now I don't know about you, Mac, but I'm going to be long dead by then, okay? And maybe they'll find my fossil.
That's impressive. 410 billion years.
Did you see? Just the fourth word, we've gone from million to billion years.
Okay, so is that using whatever, you know, password hacking technology they could possibly use? That's how long that will take.
Yeah. And you could say, okay, make it a bit harder. So what was the first word again? Phone.
Yeah.
So we could do phone, but with a capital E at the end. Okay, what was the next word?
Glasses.
Glasses, and we'll put a capital S at the end. You see how instantly by just putting a capital at the end, it's better, yeah? What's the third word?
Mirror.
Mirror, so capital R at the end. Look at that. So just by adding a capital as the last letter of the 3 words, we've already gone to billions of years.
Wow.
And there you go. That's how you do.
And you haven't even got my fourth word in there. That's impressive.
I don't even have your fourth word in there. And this is, you see, I've got a lovely, I do so many of these
So
things.
as an example, I mean, I understand the 4-word concept. What's an easy way for people to be able to remember these type of things? So obviously, you know, we just chose random items, but
well, here's the screen. Okay, this is what I always show people. I love this. It takes in the last 20 years, if you read the last sentence, we've successfully trained everybody to use passwords that are hard for humans to remember and easy for computers to guess. And I've just shown you the reverse. Look around yourself, whether you're sitting in the, you know, in the living room or in the lounge, and find 4 objects that are not relating and use those as passwords, because it's easy to remember, because you'll remember when you said, I saw the TV and I saw the lamp, you know. But better, of course, which we haven't got to, is please use a password manager. So, you know, we bring out a new solution, but one of the ones that I highly recommend is to use 1Password.
Yeah. And
make your master password. So if I want to go to LinkedIn, for instance, okay, all I have to do is type in LI. See that? LI. You see at the top,
comes up the second one.
And all I have to do is click on go. So not only does it save me time, but it also, when you go to a new website and it tries to, and you've got to generate a password, your password manager will generate a password for you, which will be infinitely long. So you can stop remembering all passwords from now. You just need to remember one big long one, and that's the one that I just taught you how to do. And I use a sentence.
So,
you know, for my main password to go into my password manager.
So just on the password manager side of things, I mean, I know when I first started looking at different password managers, I actually found ones that are not necessarily the ones you want to go to, because you were effectively putting all your data in a place that was you know, suspect anyway. How do you go about choosing a good password manager? You know, and knowing that it's secure and reliable.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about password managers, all the good ones use what we call encryption keys, and not even the people that make the software. Without the encryption key, they can't get in. Okay, that's simple, because it's all hashed and encrypted.
So they don't actually have access themselves to the data?
Not at all. No, and they use 256-bit encryption, which is military-style encryption. Okay, so unless you've got the master password, forget it. You can throw away all your passwords you forever saved, because it's that's the master key, and they don't hold the master key. It is that simple. So good ones, like I said, the ones that we're going to start selling very soon as a managed service is called Keeper, but 1Password, LastPass, RoboForm, another one of my favorites. So all, and you know what, for a family of 5, you're looking at, say, 50 quid for the year. I mean, it's nothing, but now that's another thing I'd like you to do, because the one thing I like about 1Password, for instance, is that you can share what I call vaults with your kids. So you can have the main control, so you can share certain passwords like Netflix or whatever account or Spotify. You can share those securely with them, and they have their own. That's what I've done with my family. They've all got their own password manager, and I've securely shared some of the logins with them and with my wife. So that way, and they're using it for their own passwords as well now. And I think it's really good practice to teach your kids I'm not joking, from 3 years old upwards, to teach them how to use password managers, how to use multi-factor authentication. It's one of the most important things you can teach kids, because then at least they learn how to lock their stuff down from day one. And it's never too late to start. Start today. Do it. Just do it.
I'm making lots of notes, Francis. I hope you don't mind. I know I'm recording this anyway, but
I was going to say, why don't you listen back?
I just want to recap at the end for people as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something earlier about the dangers of having, working from home and having your computer susceptible to other things at home. And one of the posts that you posted, I think it was yesterday, and I know I've been, one of the victims of this is using USB devices on your computer.
Yeah.
And, little things like you asked a silly question, which for me was like, well, I knew it was a leading question, but at the same time, it's something that I'm guilty of. Is you've got a spare USB port on your laptop, you haven't got enough plug ports down at the bottom, and one of the kids say, "Hey, can you plug my phone in and charge it, please, or my iPad?" Or so you think, just to keep things neat, I'll just plug it into my laptop instead of going to get a multi adapter. Talk me through that, because
I don't want to scare you now, Mac, but let me
open the can of worms there.
You did ask. Okay, now, if I tell you that, when I do some of my talks, and it was workshops, okay, the good old days when we're still mixing socially, I have 50 of these little USB sticks printed with a nice little logo, and I walk amongst the cars in the car park, and I just sprinkle them around the cars. What do you think people do when they pick these up?
They stick them in their computers.
They stick them in the first computer they can find. You know what I do? I execute a piece of software that's running on here, and bear in mind I'm a white hat hacker. Within 3 seconds, there's no pop-ups that happens on the computer. The person who sticks it in doesn't even know this, okay? I promise you this. Within 3 seconds, it reports back to my office at Apsley, and it tells me everything that's on that computer. It tells me where it is, the make, the model, the data, everything that's on within 3 seconds. That's all I need. So the point is that it's a self-executable piece of software. We do get people's permission. Otherwise, I get really unhappy. But the point is that, and the same goes, this is a USB device.
Yeah.
It's got memory in there. The moment you plug it into a laptop, it's going to try and read everything on there. If this thing is infected, the infection will go down the cable into the laptop. Now, did you know that an iPhone is 400 times less likely to be infected
than an Android, as an example?
Fact.
Why is that?
Why? Because listen, Android and all the other phones, they are brilliant. They make no mistake, they are fantastic devices. My engineers love them. But you know why they love them? Because you can install whatever you like on them. You can do what you like, and you can't do it with the iPhone. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I love iPhones. I know it's very restricted, and the engineers hate it. I love it because I don't like it. People get onto my phone. And on that note, you asked about tips, okay? It was I use a piece of software which I cannot recommend highly enough. And Mac, it's free. It's called Sophos Intercept X. If you go to your app store, you download it, and it looks like I don't know. You can't really see that well. Down the bottom, yeah, I see Sophos, a little blue icon. Do you see it? That's it. You know. So download it, install it. It's free. I don't know how long it's going to stay free, but Sophos is one of the leading security companies out there, as far as I'm concerned. Apart from security everywhere, of course. But what it does, even, and we did it in this previous session, you know, before this one. And as I was doing my talk, this one lady downloaded, and it popped up, says, "Hi, you've got a software update." And she would have probably not done that software update for another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, who knows? And she was like, well impressed. But the other thing I tell you, you're gonna, when the days when we get back into coffee shops, you take your phone, once the software is on there, you take your phone into a coffee shop and you watch and see how people are, or on the train, see people trying to hack into your phone. It'll pop up and say, or Sophos will pop up and say, somebody's trying to get into your phone. Do you want to allow it? Of course not. You say no. But can you imagine, before you have this software installed, you just don't know. You just don't know what people are getting up to. So my point is, it's free. Please install it on the Mac, note the pun, on PCs, on you know, any device, any mobile device. It doesn't run on PCs or Macs, but it runs on Android and on iPads and you name it. So please do that. So did I answer your question about the USB? So the moral of the story is never, ever, ever, ever plug any of these devices into your computers unless you know for a fact that this is 100% clean.
So I know there's lots of us, including myself, that have used promotional, USB devices that it's been the historical thing, with, hey, put my brand, put my company name on, put that out there. And we all try and use reputable companies that we trust. But even those companies, they haven't got total control from manufacture to delivery. So there's a lot of links in the chain that can potentially be broken. If we are in a position where we have these devices that we've ordered, and I know quite a few organizations that use them, how can they check the USB device just to make sure that it is safe and clean and okay to use? Is there a way to do that?
Well, here's your challenge now. I mean, that's a very big loaded question, Mac, because, and I'll tell you why. Because the problem that we have, if there's a known threat on here, your normal antivirus software will pick it up and hopefully alert you and destroy it. If there's an unknown threat on there,
that's the problem.
That's the problem. Now, here's the big problem. Every second of the day, 4 new versions of malware is being released on the planet. It takes Microsoft and all the other antivirus providers out there, the standard ones, at least 2 to 4 weeks before they've written an antidote for the infected or infection that's sitting on that device or on the Mac or on the PC. And there's our problem. There is our problem. We are fighting a war, that is 99% is unknown. And that's why you need to use, and this is why I feel for people that's running standard antivirus solutions, because in my head, listen, it's better than nothing. But in my head, from what I know, it's the same as, and I'm pointing down the garden, it's the same as the padlock on the shed. Wonderful. You need to use new technology that uses AI, technology that can identify if something is trying to read your recovery files, if something is trying to attack different locations on a computer. I keep on saying Mac or PC and Linux. You need to be able to have a solution that can attack and kill unknown threats instantly. That's what you need on your system.
So, off the back of that one, because I know over the years, as I kind of became a little bit more computer savvy, I've realized that every man and his dog, when they go online, there's this reluctance to spend any money on what they can't see.
Yeah.
It's like insurance or security, or it's the unknown.
Yeah.
And until, like me, where I was hacked, 3 months into starting my business, just spent thousands of pounds on building websites and, having all of that backed up onto my local PC, and then having my PC hacked. But not only did they take control of my computer, they took control of my website, which for 2 weeks I had no business. And that, after 3 months worth of investments and thousands of pounds, was a very painful lesson to learn. And, so many people will go online and they'll search free antivirus. And it's those 4 little letters that I've learned to stay as far as possible away from, if I can. What are the dangers of using, because I know from experience, when you download a free piece of software, the things that are attached and the extra little tick boxes that they put in with the additional software that gets installed while you're installing and you don't even know about it. What should people look out for?
Can I reverse that question to you? Because I tell you why. I want to make it real. What's your view if somebody goes into I don't know, Wix, and they buy one of these homemade, let's call it almost semi-free house alarms, compared to putting in a proper full-blown solution like Verisure? Do you get my point? You don't have to answer it, seriously. I'm just making the point here is that you'll always get what you pay for. The only difference is that you can't make this stuff up, but I will name the names. In China, they've probably gone back now, there are rugby fields in size full of people whose job is it to get there at 9 o'clock in the morning and leave at 5:30, and it's their job to hack you and me all day long around the world. And they don't care if you've got 1 user, 5 users, or 20 users, or your kid or your 10-year-old. They don't care, because in some countries, £50, other countries, if they can extortionate you for 50 quid, that's their month's wages. And for them, it's a numbers game. And they love it when you download free antivirus software. They love it because you're making their life so easy. So easy. So if you value your data, and you more importantly, I'd love to run a case study if we still got time. If you value your client's data, please put a value. One of the questions I ask a lot of people now, I say, how many clients do you have to lose before you start taking this seriously? Seriously, because nowadays we can trace everything back. When we do forensic analysis, we can see where the attack came from, and we can trace all the way back to where it started. And if it came from your machine that ran free antivirus, or one of your kids' machines that were protected by free antivirus, and your client finds out, especially in the legal sector or accounting or one of the regulated sectors, and they find out it was one of your machines, what do you think they're going to do to you in the nicest possible way? Another big reason for me not to use free stuff is, did you know that if a company suffers a cyber attack, their chances of selling their business drops by up to 70%? Because why would you want to buy a company if I can go and find all their data on the dark web anyway? Do you see the problem with that? So is it worth, so when you think next time, is it worth spending 50p a day, to keep the hackers at bay? Is it worth, or do I rather go for something cheap and hope for the best? I hope that answers your question. Sorry to be so dramatic, but
no.
But I get the calls, Matt. I get the calls from people that are crying. I'll tell you another quick story if I may. Only before the lockdown, another good friend of mine, his sister has a son. He's 26 years old, and sadly, he was trying to buy a house, And what happened was the law firm that he was doing the deal with got hacked. So at the last minute, the hackers simply changed the bank details in the email chain, and this son of her sisters paid all the money into the hacker's account. That money is lost forever.
Sure.
Now, if the law firm or the solicitors had email security in place, if they had proper email security, and if they had the right, and even if they educated that young man, that says never, ever, 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 ever pay an invoice or instruction based on an email, they should have had secure email communication with that boy. But he's lost the money. They just kind of, oh well, tough. You pressed the pay now button. You made the payment. They just stand back, and the poor boy has been saving for 8-9 years for that deposit. That money is gone. And I can give you case study after case study after case study, and then tell me, is it worth buying free antivirus software? Or sorry, downloading free antivirus software? You get what you pay for. It's that simple.
Yeah. So, I mean, Francis, I know from previous conversations we could probably carry on talking for hours about all the different threats, but I just wanted to recap quickly, because you've given us a few real big golden nuggets that are simple to go and implement. So, so far I've got, which is a no-brainer, is setting up a guest network at home.
Please, yeah.
As simple as phoning your service provider and saying, hey, how do I do this? Let them talk you through it. I know I've done that for my home post you and I speaking. But it was literally because I was sitting there thinking, okay, now I have to know the IP address and all. I just phoned them up and they spoke me through it, and they did it over the phone. It was 10 minutes on the phone.
Yeah.
So a big easy fix. The other thing is the two-factor authentication. All of us have seen it. A lot of us have it in the back of our mind to do when we have time. There's no time like the present to get on that and go and do that and protect not only you but your family as well.
Exactly.
Because unfortunately, the things that kids are exposed to by not having these things in place is frightening, and that's a whole web seminar session for another day.
It is.
The other thing is, what did I have over here? Your password manager. So going and using that URL that you sent. Once we're done over here, if you wouldn't mind going and sharing some of those links so that I can post that into the
Sure.
Facebook Live and we can share it with people there. But I'll put that into the YouTube video once this gets uploaded onto YouTube as well. Because again, something simple people can action immediately. And then that SOFOS intercept, again, something they can go and put on. That's for mobile devices, is that right?
Yeah, mobile devices, yeah. Like all the Android, all the iPhones, all the iPads, all the pad devices,
Okay, and then the last one, if you've got free antivirus software, look at the source where you got it, and if possible, go and get a decent antivirus software. I'm going to ask you for some recommendations as well, if you don't mind. I know you've got some services and products from business grade as well that you can offer. So from my side of things, just a massive thank you for spending the time and giving such amazing amount of value. I'm sure we're going to have lots of more calls and dive into a few more areas that can help people. But those are some very simple things I think people can take away and go in action today. Francis, how can, other than the obvious, but what is the best way if anybody wants to connect with you, find out more about what you do, get advice, where do they go?
I thought you were going to ask. No, of course. No, listen, I love to help people. And I hope hopefully you can see some of my background here. So I run multiple companies. My main company is called Westtek Solutions, but my security company is called Security Everywhere, and the website is security-everywhere.com. And one of our flagship solutions that we are now that's running worldwide is called Sentry Defender. And it's a piece of software that runs on a Mac or PC or Linux box. And it's backed by a team of 100 security specialists sitting in what we call a SOC, a security operating center, over 4 different locations around the world. And they're sitting there and they will catch you if you fall. And I've got so many case studies, like I said, where somebody clicked on the link. And can I share one quick story with you?
Sure.
And this is my own son. You can imagine, as a cybersecurity company, we can't afford to get hacked. Now, you can hear we're both South Africans. I'm sorry, I may have to drop this in only once. But after the World Cup last year, when South Africa beat the rest of the planet, my son went to a very well-known gaming website. I won't mention their name. And he downloaded this mod. He's 16 years old. And I'm going to give you the short version. This file got past, we use web antivirus, got past that. It got past the Windows 10, the Microsoft Defender got past that. We've got another anti-encryption piece of software because we run 6 layers of security. I'm not saying do the same, but we, like I said, we are a bit paranoid, 6 layers. So it got past the 3rd layer. It was only our Sentry Defender solution that identified this file that had what we call a payload or an attack inside. It identified it. It quarantined it, it killed it, and reported back to our office in 3 seconds. But it bypassed the first 3 layers. It was only our 4th layer that actually protected him. Otherwise, and he came out and he says, this site, everybody uses this site, and I don't know what's your problem, because I've been using it for years. And I'm like, exactly. And that really scares me. And we said this earlier, Matt, because so many people on this planet have been young people, and maybe all older people, that likes gaming, have been to that same site and download all these hacks and cracks. And they currently, as we're sitting here, their machine is infected and the hackers are watching everything. And that infection now is spreading to all the home machines. So unless you're running, I have to say, a solution like ours, I'm concerned. And the cost, if you want to, or what I call the investment, the value you're going to get from a solution like ours is a team of people that's going to monitor, manage, and kill any threat with under 3 seconds. We normally know within the first half an hour of installing our solution what undetected threats have been there for years in some cases. But we also offer a ransom guarantee. So if the hackers can get past our solution, we will underwrite your ransom payment up to $1,000 per machine or up to $1 million per site. If somebody else can match it, fantastic. That's how sure we are that when you fall, we will catch you every single time. And we do,
it's pretty bold.
We can help one single home user, or we can help a company with 1,000 users, and we do monthly rolling contracts, to yearly or 2 year, 3 year, it doesn't matter. But to me, that's the priority number 1 as a solution. And then we do other solutions. We do cyber awareness training. We do, like I said, email security. We use some of the top brands in the world. For under £5, we'll do that. We do, like I said, we'll do password manager solutions as of next week. So really, we do a lot of these talks and just for free, educating people and helping people just to be alert. And that to me is probably more important, because as you can see on the screen, I've made it my personal mission to educate and protect at least 1 million people by 2023 from all the hackers and scammers. So thank you for the time. Sorry, I forgot to mention my phone number. I'll just put my mobile, because the mobile is +44 787 255 2555, and my email is francis.w@security-everywhere.com. And I'll gladly help people with it. Free advice or help, whatever you need. Or if you've seen something you're not sure about, just email it to me and I'll triple check it, because at least I can click on things with my security blanket around me. My kahunas. You
don't have to go and lie in the fetal position and worry about it.
My kahunas are this big. So if you want our security blanket,
more than I needed to know.
Then please come and talk to us.
Excellent stuff. Listen, Francis, I thank you very much. I will connect with you again in the next few days, but sure. Massive appreciation, and thank you very much for your time today. Excellent stuff.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, everybody. Have a great day.